Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On the Mic with Mike, the best business radio program around. We're coming to you live from the Fairfield. We are here for the 2021 Biz Summit at the Fairfield, which is a post-COVID look at what the Richmond ecosystem looks like going forward. We'd like to thank our friend Ravi Patel for hosting. You can come on in. Okay, let's do this. On the Mic with Mike, ESPN Richmond 106.1, 5 to 7 a.m. This is the Ravi and Mike show coming to you 2 nights daily.
We can do that. We can
You
talk
can
about
do
it.
that. Yeah, I know.
We can talk about it.
No, yes, you were made for this. So thank you for having us here. Give our listeners an idea of the location, your business, and we're going to turn over to these ladies here.
Yeah, so we're coming to you from the Fairfield Inn and Suites on the Midlothian Turnpike. Essentially a brand new hotel. So we have some meeting space. Obviously have a large breakfast room where all these fine folks have gathered today. So we have other properties across the Richmond region. So look us up online, and if we can do anything for you, reach out.
Also, when you hear the weather forecast, we'd like to thank this fine gentleman for sponsoring the weather. So if the weather's nice, thank you. If the weather's not, talk to Robbie.
So on the CW, which days? Because I got a packed schedule.
Well, that is true, because look, we have to work on that. I have to work on my skills.
I have my agent calling.
Yeah, I don't have, so your agent will talk directly with me because I don't have a team. It's just me. So here, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with the Biz Summit, and these ladies are going to talk about their business. This is an array of talent right here. All these people play a part in my world. But we got my man, shout out to Al Green. Al Green, we are back together from our day offender. He's the man on the sound. He has a show, and the show is called
New Spirit Radio.
And that is on 105.3 The Choice every Sunday from 2 to 3. Al Green. Also, the video being shot is by Emmanuel from DB Arcade. Okay, we're going to go down the list and down the line, and people are going to talk about who you are, what you do. Then we're going to talk about how you see Richmond, tell about your business and information that you'd like to let folks know about how your business has been impacted and how you see the future. Yes.
Hi, I'm Annette Shaw. I have Shaw Fundraising Strategies, and I work with nonprofits and businesses to help them excel in their fundraising efforts. I bring 30 plus years of experience both in business and nonprofit together to take that approach in working with my clients.
Hi, my name is Holly Bird-Miller, and I'm the CEO of Makeup by Holly Beauty Partners. We have a traveling team of brand and image consultant experts who work with CEOs, executives, and entrepreneurs to attract their target audience.
Hi, I'm Kaisha Murray, and I'm the owner of Growing Perspectives Career Consulting Company. And my business is focused in on career professionals and early career or mid-career professionals as they navigate successfully in their careers, and people that are looking to transition. So specializing in working with professionals that are looking to land their next job, so resume writing, interview preparation, and professionals that want to continue to excel. And I also work with small businesses in terms of team building training and any kind of culture shifts training also. And my purpose is to help career professionals reach their goals and aspirations.
And you are an engineer by trade, correct?
I am.
So every time I deal with you, I'm buttoned up totally. And if anybody on the panel knows, that's just me, Mr. Buttoned Up. Danielle?
Only you, Mike. But I am Danielle Gilbert, your virtual HR strategist and CEO of Manifesting You Consulting, where I simply help small to medium-sized companies minimize their risk, avoid lawsuits, and save them thousands of dollars simply through training and development, consultancy, and organizational assessments. I used to work in corporate, have over 20 years of HR. That's what I do by day. And so the other thing I have to put a plug in that I am who we want to call the manager of Twin Life of M&M Creative Arts Talk Show that airs on Tuesdays at 3 on the Choice
At 2.
at 2. That's right. Correct me. I'm sorry. I got my other manager in my ear. But at 2 o'clock on Tuesday on the Choice at 105.3. And so I just enjoyed being here, and it's a pleasure. Thank you.
You're a radio personality too, correct? You were on with me, ESPN Richmond,
Yes.
on Mondays at,
5 o'clock.
yes.
Yeah. And that's all things HR with Danielle and every other thing you might want to talk about.
That is true. One of the benefits of having your own radio show is,
Yeah, we get to talk about what we want to talk about,
that
right?
is true.
Okay, so yes, that is who I am. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's business-ish,
Yes.
and every burning question I ever wanted to know. And
I'm
we-
gonna turn it over to you.
Yes, I'm starting, okay. Okay.
I gotta keep them focused.
Next up, we have royalty in the house, good friends, and they are uniquely diverse, but this is,
I am Shawana Kingdom. You'll hear that on the radio, but I am Shawana King. I'm also the CEO of True Medical Transport, and I sit on the board of Uniquely Diverse, which is one of the coolest nonprofits in this area supporting businesses at no cost, believe it or not. However, but we also have what's called the Open Mic Network. I am the GM, CEO, the one that's running it, of the Open Mic Network, which happens to be a platform to allow businesses openly tell their story so that you guys can make some money. So it's an excellent networking platform, and I'm super excited because we now have Weekend Wednesdays, by the way, which is today. So I hope you'll tune in on 105.3 The Choice today at 2:30. Because you said 2, I thought it was 2 o'clock. You know, we're looking at Mr. Mike King, you know. But guys, you know, it's a pause that refreshes in the middle of the week for our businesses. Everybody's stressed with COVID, but let's just come together. Let's support. Let's figure out where we're going to go and spend some money. Let's spend money in this city. So if you got a business, let's shout you out on the radio. But I'm excited to be here today. And like I said, we offer some business support services, and we just tell you where to go get the money, where to get the support if you have a company.
there you go. Now, as I always say, Mike King, ESPN Richmond, 106.1, and The Choice 105.3. I'm just a humble talk show. That's it. I mind my business, and my phone rings, and there's this lady on the other end telling me she got this thing that I got to hear about. It's this thing called the Elephant House Foundation. I hear about it. It's outstanding, and I've been rocking with her ever since. She's out there changing lives of young people. Have at it.
Yes, hi there, hunt you down. All right, so my name is Kiara Beasley. I'm the executive director and founder of a local nonprofit for youth. We are called the Elephant House Foundation, and we provide services and skill building resources and support to children and their families if they've experienced trauma within their home or communities, and I'm definitely glad to be here.
Next up, a friend of mine from way back, radio talk show host Paula Pardell of Bloom Matchmaking. I'd say I'm a business matchmaker. I'm pretty good.
You are.
Paula Pardell is a real matchmaker. So if you're out there looking for love, and I tell you, looking for love in all the wrong places. So if you're single, you need to talk to Paula Pardell because she takes the guesswork out of finding people. So you aren't wearing rose-colored glasses and dating creepos and zombies and all those things. Paula Pardell is with every Friday on ESPN Richmond with, what the heck is
Modern Love.
Modern Love. I've been married so long I couldn't remember the name. Modern Love with Paula Pardell, where she talks about what's happening out there in the dating scene. She is a professional matchmaker who launched her business during COVID. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, Mike. I'm still around. I launched my business January 2020. I went to New York City for a global love conference, and the world changed while I was there. I was like, get me out of this city. So, you know, I came to that conference with a lot of hope, and then I figured, you know, then I learned the word pivot quite well. So we did have to pivot. We did a lot of Zoom dates. People were still wanting to get in relationships. And that's what I do. I help people get into healthy relationships, happy relationships. I truly believe that more people were in happy, healthy relationships in the world, that our world would look differently. If you leave your house and you're happy because you've got a happy home life, everything else is going to look differently to you too. And I'm just so excited to be collaborating with everyone and to be on this impressive panel. It's so exciting for everyone to be coming together. I am holding an event on May 20th. I am collaborating with the Relationship Foundation of Virginia.
Shout out to Chris Beach.
They're an awesome nonprofit that do a lot for the community. They do a lot for dads, kids, and everyone. And I'm so happy to be partnering with them.
So Paula, you're having an event. There is.
I couldn't get the ABC.
Okay, and there's a reason why she couldn't get the drinks, ladies and gentlemen. Is Paula, where's the event going to be located?
It's going to be at the Virginia Axe Club. It's a super cool place. It's locally owned by 2 women. You can go there and throw axes. You can throw swords and knives and those those throwing stars.
Yeah, okay.
I threw a couple of those. That was fun.
Okay, so the location that you're at, it was problematic that you were going to have drinks there.
I would think so.
I would say, yeah. Yeah, we don't have an attorney on the panel, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that might not have been the best thing. That is true. But it's going to be a good event.
Oh, it's going to be a blast. It's going to be so much fun. Jimmy Stumps is bringing his
Shout out
food
to
from
Stumps
Stumps Pig and Pint. So we're going to have his barbecue, which is awesome. And I think that just goes along with axes. And it's going to be a very interactive event where people can get to know each other, meet some new people, and just have a great time because, you know, we haven't been out in a while.
We haven't been out. This is, there are people who thought this event was virtual. And they're like, hey, where's the Zoom link? I know, it's shocking. This in-person thing might catch on. Okay, we're going to start off with branding, and we're going to talk to Holly Bird Miller, whose brand is just fire. And it's beauty, but it's partnership. Let's talk a little bit about the beauty business, but also collaborating. When we come to you, it's not just you. People operate best in teams and posses like you guys are part of mine. Let's talk a little bit about your brand and brand success.
Yes, Mike, thank you so much again for having me. So Makeup by Holly Beauty Partners is a collective of experts who are not only branding experts, but they're also beauty experts and consultants. And so what we found with our target audience, they're executives, they are entrepreneurs, they are literally the face of their business. And so what we found was a vital need is that they needed to attract their target audience. And they didn't, especially startups and micro businesses, didn't always necessarily know how to do that successfully. And so I thought, I am an expert in beauty. I've been in the beauty industry for over 20 years. I have 20 years of corporate backing me, so I have expertise in sales, marketing, and business development. But I thought, let me bring all the parts and pieces of what's in my toolkit and let me partner with other experts in the branding and the beauty space as well. So I've comprised a team of experts around the country. A vast majority of them are here in Richmond, Virginia, but they range from makeup artists, hairstylists, wardrobe consultants, to photographers, videographers, social media managers, you name it. Anybody who can kind of help bring that brand together and make them look like the best version of themselves.
Didn't your team just descend upon Florida? Weren't you guys just there?
We were.
See, that's what I do. You know, I want to go, you know, to build mine so I can go somewhere. You know, but you went to Florida to help a business there.
We did. We were really fortunate to work with a client who's based here in Richmond, but they opened a second location in Florida. And so because we have a team of experts throughout the country, we were able to meet that need. Now, I was actually available on that date too, so I thought, I'm going to go to Florida.
I saw you in Florida.
Yeah.
There's some nice pictures of you in Florida.
Soaking up some sun. Brought the hubby along when we had a little downtime. It was a perfect way to celebrate an anniversary and to celebrate a client's success.
That's where I was going. Hallmark moments. Hallmark moments. Okay, so that ties right into what Paul is talking about. Danielle, there's from a business standpoint, a lot of things are changing out there. We're sitting here like this. A lot of policies go into effect to make things like that happen from a business standpoint. See, this is the real business stuff here. So can you talk a little bit about what that's meant to your business, even when you look around the hotel and the precautions and things that they have to take?
Absolutely. So as a lot of businesses are having to pivot or had to pivot, especially during last year, and now a lot of things are opening up, it's very important that you are looking at your policies and procedures to ensure that you're in compliance and making sure that you're not violating the law. When you think about your employees returning back to your organizations, what systems do you have set up? Are you ensuring that you are still complying with the 6 feet apart? Are you asking questions, the right questions that don't violate any HIPAA laws around are they vaccinated, right? Or making sure that they're still wearing masks. So it's important that you're still looking at that process to ensure that you are still, as a business owner, have the due diligence to provide a safe and healthy environment for your employees. And so what it has done for my business is really increased with me being able to simply go out and help small and medium-sized employers look at that process and that foundation. And I always tell people, you can't build a house without a foundation. So think about your business in the same sense. If you don't have the bricks, you don't have a stable, soil, you cannot begin to build. So look and make sure that you have your policies, your handbooks, and you're revising them. And it shouldn't be a one-time thing. It should be every 6 months, looking at things to see what you have to amend. And especially with COVID and all of the return to work laws and processes, make sure you have that in place. And if not, you can always call me.
And how can people find you?
Yeah.
This is an inside joke.
This is one.
But I'm gonna give the people what they want.
Right, okay.
I'll give them what they
How can
want.
people find Danielle Gilbert?
You can simply send your name and email address to 804-829-3722, and you will be put on a list where you would get the latest tips and tricks and things that you need to ensure that you stay in compliance and minimize your risk.
From a business standpoint, that's knocking out the park. And explain to people why you started doing that.
The reason why I use a text number is because simply it helps reduce the ability for someone to have to go around a website and stumble around and hit a contact button to send an email, to wait 20 to 48 hours to my assistant to respond. And sometimes people are in a crisis, sometimes people need an answer. So if you simply text me, I always have my cell phone number. That number goes directly to my cell phone, so it allows you immediate access to me if need be. So I simply say connect with me through that by sending your name and email. And again, that number is 804-829-3722.
And you know what I think about when I did that? I called a number yesterday, and that number would be Holly Bird Miller. And you know what it says? Leave a message. But if the world is on fire, text me right now. Explain that, madam.
Yeah, people always have their cell phones. If they forget anything, it's not gonna be their cell phone. They might forget deodorant, they might forget whatever. They're not gonna forget their cell phone. And so we wanna make it as easy and as accessible to get to us. Again, we're working with executives, people in high level positions. Time is money. So they need to reach someone right away. They don't have that 24 to 48 hours always to wait for somebody to return that call or that email.
That's dropping knowledge right there. One of my ESPN Richmond, these panel ladies are game changers. They're out there. You guys know that I talk about nonprofits and deal with nonprofits a lot. Shout out to Annette Shaw for being a sponsor of this outstanding event. This is called the 2021 Biz Summit at the Fairfield, and we're talking about business and life and all things in between, plus whatever we always think about. We'd like to give a shout out to our show sponsors, Tom Childry, the credit card guy, as well as Andy Taylor and Junk Lovers. I always say Tom Childry's been in the credit card business 20 years. He knows all the things are about to help you with your credit card purchases, help the system. Andy Taylor, Junk Lovers, if you have things around the house, Andy Taylor can help you get rid of them. That's things, not people. If you want people to leave, don't make the deal as good. And then they may think about relocation. But Annette Shaw, thank you for sponsoring the event.
My pleasure. I'm thrilled to be here with these amazing ladies.
Okay. Now we always talk about nonprofits. People are always scared when phone rings, it's a nonprofit. Oh Lord, what do they call in for? They need some help. That's not accurate. No, it is accurate. No, it is accurate.
Well, the best thing is when they ask for help, because so many nonprofits try to muddle along and get through, particularly in the last year to 15 months. So asking for help is wonderful.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
They weren't asking?
Some were, some weren't. It was a funny time. There was sort of people were paralyzed in the beginning, particularly nonprofits, not knowing where their donors were going to sit, whether this was truly a financial crisis in the donor base that they were used to seeing. But it didn't take long to learn that while this pandemic did affect people financially, it didn't necessarily affect the people that were making those major contributions to the organization. And so they could look at things a little differently once they realized that it's okay to call and check in and see how you're doing, and then gauge that conversation to know whether you can ask, I need $10,000 for this emergency XYZ. So once people were able to wrap their head around that, they did.
What is, give our there's more than 1,000 nonprofits out there. What's the one thing that you could give them as we come out of COVID to help them get their house in order and to thrive?
Well, back to asking questions. I think asking for the help is really important, but thinking outside the box. And I know we've all pivoted and we've all learned, but nonprofits have really had to, along with some of the other business industries, but looking at things differently and saying, you know, I can do this. And most of the organizations I work with, most of my clients are providing those basic human services. They don't have a choice. They have to succeed and they have to move forward and they have to raise money to provide those services. So how are you going to do that? And the other thing is making sure that today you're setting up yourselves for the next catastrophe, because this isn't the last one, sadly. Whether it's just personally for your organization or for our city or country. And I've really encouraged my clients to say, what are you doing now to make sure you have that donor you can call and say, I just got 10 families who need rent. I need you to throw in $10,000. I need it today. How are you going to build those relationships? So that's not a strange call to make, that's a very normal call, and that person would expect you to call them if you needed them.
We're going to go to our engineer on the panel. And engineers, I guess you guys are trained to think in order, because that's the way you guys talk. Okay, we're stereotyping.
Yeah, there's variety, but I hear where you're coming from.
You know where I'm going with this as well. Okay.
Diversity, sir.
Very.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me check that box. I don't want to get in trouble. Thank you. That is my compass, Danielle Gilbert, to stay out of trouble. What was different of starting and running a business as what you were trained in A to B to C, all of a sudden you're running a business and things are popping up and coming out of the clear blue? What was that like? And how did you survive it? And what have you learned from it?
So those are very good questions. I think coming from an engineering background, what you just mentioned is more process oriented. So we have a standard approach in most cases. So you have what's proven, what has been done before, so you can go back and look at some examples. And with running a business, you have more trial and error. So you have to be more creative. So I would say that's the biggest thing, and not being afraid to try something different, not being afraid to take more risk, because knowing that you're going through the process, especially as a new business owner. So that's what I've learned the most, is just creativity, which I had that in my engineering background, but the ability to use that more. Be more creative, be willing to pivot when you need to, and not be afraid to fail fast, get up, pivot, and keep moving. So those are the things I learned the most, and the power of networking. You knew that in my corporate experience, and just seeing that, how strong that is running a business, especially during the pandemic.
Shawana King, branding as well as promotion, you understand it.
Yes, and especially as she just mentioned about the networking. I made a decision I was either going to be in the pandemic mad or I was going to be in the pandemic happy. So, which is why we bring the weekend to everybody, right, in the middle of the week. But during that time of COVID and of branding, sometimes in most cases, businesses have a hard time with getting themselves out there, especially the best person who could really market the company. And so when you talk about COVID, they're trying to survive. So how does a company brand themselves still at that moment? And so that's where you have guys like me that get a chance to come in. I'm coming in to hear the voice of that company and understanding their needs, and then playing matchmaker, right? Putting them in a platform where they can actually tell their story, whether it be virtually, putting them in a position for, even if it's, hey, stop by here for 10 minutes, shout your company out during one of my mixers, so that you can brand. We're getting creative. Everybody had to do something different. So we had to do something different. And so we had to be very imaginative. It's interesting. So like the engineer of networking in a sense, But we've done a lot of that during the pandemic. And when it comes to even our company, I mean, we're still a fairly new company too, but just because we're new doesn't mean I have to be afraid to be next to the big dog. You know, let's all help each other. You know, we don't say, do you need us? You need us. Because when we show up, we can find something that we could add to any company. And it's reciprocity. You know, we're humble enough to say, hey, we don't know everything. You know, what can we, learn from you? What can you learn from us? How can we work together? Which is also why we are now on Weekend Wednesdays with Mikey.
There you go. Running, you never know where you're gonna meet people at, and there are power in numbers, I always say. And maybe that came from me being an only kid for 14 years. That I like, people, but I always keep my circle kind of small. It's not about running out meeting a whole bunch of new people. People come in for a reason. And we talked to Kiera Beasley about the Elephant House Foundation. Explain to people what that is and how you have taken that idea about what it is and turned it into what you're working with now.
Yeah, so it is super personal to me. My mom and dad both struggled with misuse of substances, and my grandmother took over guardianship of me and my younger brother. And so in that, it wasn't a lot of resources, or there may have been programs, but I had to keep honors. And so while I was able to do that, I saw other friends that were going through the same thing that did not have, the same access to meet those standards of having honor roll, et cetera. My grandmother did the best that she could. And when I got into junior college, I had the idea to start something in memory of her. And when she passed, it kind of just skyrocketed from there. I told a close friend about what I was trying to do. She hand drew the logo for me, and she was like, look, we are not sitting on these gifts anymore. God continued to speak to me. And so that's how the foundation was birthed last year. Literally got all of our paperwork, 501c3, everything on March 15th, which is also the same weekend COVID hit.
There you go, perfect timing.
So yeah, our first year was a lot of struggle, and I'm still learning, but that's something that I had to realize I can't continue to sit on, not having the perfect mentor or the motivation behind it. I just have to go. And ever since I've been going, things have continued to be lined up. First of all, thank you to Mike King for being a great business matchmaker. And so what we do, we take it on with a trauma-informed approach mixed with Christian values, and we provide resources, skill building, and any type of support that a family and a child needs that if they've experienced trauma, whether it be in the home or their community.
Paula Pardell, it's spring, well, it's going in the summer. People have gotten shots, that's why we're out here now, masked, just running around. I always tell people, me and my wife, we're the mature millennials. We're tearing up the streets, senior citizen style. We're back at the house at 7. And so, we're back at 7, we're chilling. So, it's not safe in the streets until 7 p.m. when we go home.
So you know what I'm gonna say, that
Yes.
you're not protected just because you're over the age.
I've had this conversation. How come I don't get anything more with, what was I, at 40, okay.
Just know that you're just over the age of 60, there's no extra protection.
I don't get anything more as I can know.
So, although people may discriminate against you because of your age,
It's something, we need to change that.
there's nothing we can do about it. It's a federal law. You may continue, sir.
I dispute
You
that.
may come up.
We have to work on that right there. As I was saying, we were out there and we're having a good time. We're out there without, with protection. I got the Joe juice and my wife does me stop saying that. I think it's funny. It is hilarious. Okay, so we're talking business. In a couple words, Annette, what have you learned through COVID that changed your business, that you won't go back to, that you would have never done before? Now all of a sudden, that worked out pretty well and we're going to keep that.
Well, I think the virtual aspect of things allows everyone to be more comfortable in getting things done in a more timely manner. I don't want to stay virtual, I will definitely say that, but I feel that organizations have realized that they can do more when you cut out the travel time and things like that. The problem becomes is how do you balance that with the interaction? And so particularly with nonprofits who that's what they're focusing on is helping people, making sure that you have that balance. And I think that for me, being able to evaluate when I need to be sitting next to a client or when I need to, hey, let's just have a quick check-in virtually so that you can get back to saving lives. You know, I work with organizations that deal in addiction and disorder and battered women and human trafficking and things like that. The meetings with me are very valuable to help them do their job, but they need to get out there and do their job. So I think it's balancing that. And I think if the world goes forward, knowing that we have this virtual option, that was always there, but nobody used it until you had to. And now it's a choice. Are you on Teams or are you on Zoom or which one are you going to be on Google Meet? Use it in the right way and not give up human interaction, but making sure that we're being more efficient and that we can connect. And I also, again, just thinking about things in a very different way. Fundraising is very different. And if you always are going to have a virtual option, even when you're back in person, you can reach so many more people. You've got donors. We just are doing something for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And we're doing a virtual laugh for life, excuse me. And somebody in Africa bought a ticket for $18 to come to this Laugh for Life virtual event because it connected with them. Well, there's some connection because it's not nationally advertised, it's advertised in a network. But using that and knowing that we can reach so many more people by balancing that. So I'm a people person and I hated that screen, but now I realize that it just has to be used to our advantage.
So as we're talking about nonprofits, Holly Bird-Miller, I got to touch base with you. You have somewhat of a connection to a nonprofit. You do. And you know what the ins and outs and the struggles of the person running that nonprofit and all the things that they do to really make it work, because nonprofits have a real impact on people's lives. So we're just going to stop beating around the bush. The name of the nonprofit that you are so closely associated with is?
Girls for Change.
Tell us more.
Is that the one you were thinking about? I work with several, but Girls for Change is one of them.
That's an outstanding organization. I've had, it really is.
That was not the answer.
That was not the answer.
You are wrong.
See, folks, what happens when you don't coach folks?
This is live, by the way,
Yes,
so
yes.
whatever happens.
There'll be that organization with 3 letters.
NDL.
Yeah.
Oh, my husband's gonna kill me. Okay.
Thank
You
you.
are no, she's about to be, I ain't gonna say divorced because we wishing that, but Ford Miller is gonna give her.
That's what I'm saying. I laid the foundation.
The Metropolitan Business League, the MBL, is the nonprofit for small women and minority business owners. They provide financial resources, economic, educational resources, any type of resources that small women or minority business owners need to either start and or sustain their businesses. Did I rebound?
I'm on your side
Exactly.
as a member of NBL.
We're
I
Team
got
Floyd
you.
on this side.
All the way.
Yes. And Girls for Change, that is an outstanding organization. So we went out there and talked to them before. I mean, what they're doing, the programs for girls is outstanding. And, you know, they come through sometimes, and it's not just local, it's a national organization too, that a lot of times people don't even realize. Okay, so show some love to Girls for a Change.
Girls for a Change, shout out to Angela Patton and the wonderful work that she's doing with helping to make sure that girls in underserved, underprivileged populations have an opportunity to grow and excel in life. And so they teach them STEM, so the science and technology, the engineering, the math skills they need in order to be the future business leaders. And so I work very closely with them, have for about 5+ years to help them with their image. So we do headshots for them and we help them with their image to make sure that they are attracting the attention of these business owners who could potentially be their bosses one day.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone who follows the program always ask what gives you hope. Paula Pardell, we're gonna go down with you panel ladies. Paula Pardell is an optimist. She's gonna say something, she's in the love business. Of course, what gives you hope, Paula?
love gives me hope that there is still love in the world. I know we all have to collaborate with businesses right now, but I think we also have to come together and collaborate for social change also. We're gonna be talking about that on Friday, how we can come together, people from all different backgrounds and everything, how we can come together and support each other in the craziness that's going on in the world. And you want to really know what gives me hope? Madam Vice President, Madam Secretary of State, that gave me a lot of hope.
After knowing Paula Pardell after the last episode, I bet that did give you hope.
I love that.
Al Green, did it give her hope? Yes. We know where Paula stands on that. What gives you hope?
I would say the possibility of change and the impact. Just alone, one of our programs was community gardening, and just the relief that I saw, take over the kids and them enjoy, chasing the chickens out the coop and planting tomatoes. We had an amazing time. And while I'm here, I'm going to shout out Brunswick Ag and Culture.
That's the lady next to who's going to give us a ride.
Oh, we are having a one-day retreat this summer.
I just thought about that.
Yeah, so that's good. Yes.
She owns the transportation company. She's going to give us a ride. She's going to give us a ride to Brunswick. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we do here. We make big love connections. So the kids from Elephant House Foundation are going out to Brunswick Agriculture.
Yes, and we found a nonprofit that donates tents and things because they believe that kids should experience the outdoors. So I'm gonna, harass him like I did you, and then that'll be nice.
Exactly.
So
that's the way
you
you keep knocking on people's doors so they finally answer and say, "What is it?"
Yeah, that's it.
Shawana King, thank
I'm
you.
gonna be swift, but what gives me hope is our Father in heaven. I'm just gonna give him some glory, just because he saved our company, he saved our lives. And I say that because not to toot a horn, but to give him glory. I have not lost one person for COVID, not even in my congregation. And it's come from obedience, and it's come from the Holy Spirit just covering us. Now, there's a lot of believers that have also passed, but I just know that I can speak for the ones that I'm connected with. He has covered us, and that gives me hope, moving through this, stepping through this, helping businesses. Every company that we are in connection with has literally been ordered by the Holy Spirit. And so I give him glory for that. And so being in this room, it's hopeful to see all of these amazing women on this panel. I mean, it's just giving me so much life. But I'm so grateful that even you, Mike King, not being threatened by all this femininity up here, right? If I even said that right? But just us coming together to collab. So I'm hopeful for what's to come. Central Virginia, as we just heard, is very strong. And so I feel confident being here.
Danielle Gilbert.
So I'm gonna bring in the HR part of what brings me hope. And we talked about this on All Things with HR with Danielle, and it's accessibility, a sense of belonging. And that gives me hope because as we've seen over this past year, how the pandemic has not only caused one region, but many regions, many voices, many people to come together to help those who were in need and are still in need. And yes, there are still individuals who need assistance, but when I look at the overall picture, a lot of people who didn't have accessibility to funding or being able to go to their neighbor to get something, it now has opened the doors to understand the importance of collaboration, the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility. And the other thing I want to say that gives me hope is the ability to not only just dream, but keep dreaming. I think at one point, many may have thought to stop dreaming, but if you keep dreaming, you speak it, you believe it, and manifest everything that you want in your life, I am a true believer that it will happen. So I am hopeful for all of that.
What you said, we don't chase paper.
We don't, we just manifest it and it flows to us easily and effortlessly.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Can you, you gotta talk about my proteges, being a manager of, and the owner, the co-owner of M&M Creative Arts. Explain to our listeners how you instill entrepreneurship in kids to, that you're saying, they don't necessarily have to go to a job for somebody to give them money. Explain that path. And I met them 3 years ago at the Richmond Children's Business Fair. And these little girls are making it, 9-year-old twins. So hashtag Twin Life.
Yes.
And they're on radio on WQCA, 105.3 The Choice.
Yeah, so to give you just a brief high-level overview, being a Black woman in corporate America for over 18 years, I saw how it truly impacted my life, far as mentally, physically, and spiritually, and how I became to be unhappy in a place of trying to struggle to prove who I was. And so I was determined that I was not going to do that for my children. Instead, I was going to give them the opportunity to create their own pathway. And because I am a true believer in manifestation and leaving a legacy for my children, Mackenzie and Mariah Gilbert, they are 9 years old in the 4th grade. And they, as Mariah will told you on, if you listen to the show on Tuesday, she says, I simply wanted to follow in your footsteps. And that's why they started their business, or convinced me to say, Mommy, let's start a business. And so when the Children's Fair opportunity came about, I simply said, let's start it. Let's come up with the name and let's do it. And for the past 4 years, I have instilled in Mariah and Mackenzie that you can do whatever your heart desires. You don't have to work a 9 to 5. You don't have to answer to anyone. You do not allow anyone to tell you what your worth is. And as long as you know what your worth is and you add tax to it, your path is undeniable, just amazing. The doors are open. And so that's what I have instilled in Mackenzie and Mariah, that their products are on Walmart.com. They have their own radio show, and they're coming out with a book in August called I Am Me, You Are You. And it simply tells them that, yes, they are twins, but they have the ability to create their own identity and their own pathway. And don't ever allow anyone to tell you anything different.
Amen. Can I take up an offering right now? No. Robbie, can we get a plate? I'm passing the plate right here. Okay. Hope, what gives you hope?
So what gives me hope, I love what you just mentioned, so I'm going to build on what you just said. What gives me hope is for the economy, with the economy rebounding. So in my profession, I'm a career coach and career consultant. And so I'm hopeful that people see that there's plenty of opportunities. So last year, the market was tight. Movement was condensed. Now things are opening, it's rebounding. And I'm hopeful that people will see that the jobs are there, and I'm here to help them rebound. And they can pivot, they have choices. Last year, you had less choices. This year, as things continue to open, you will have abundant choices. So I'm hopeful that people will be just aware of that, see the options that they have, and where they need help to reach out and get the help that they need. So my company is to grow perspectives. My company is growing perspectives. So I'm hopeful that I will continue to do that, and that people will embrace what they want to do, what they're good at, what they desire to do in their life and in their careers.
Yes.
Okay, now that's just something. Wow, you know what? I had this idea. This is what I'm talking about right here. With the information, Holly, what gives you hope?
What gives me hope is community collaboration. So what we have been seeing over the last year is people coming together in an alarming rate, in a good way, in an alarming number. And that has brought me hope. I built an entire business around collaborating with the right people. I don't see competition. I see community over competition. And so I love bringing together people who have really strong skill sets to complement what I have so that we can be stronger together. And so I love this panel. I love the panel that came before us with the government leaders, the lawyers, those in really high, powerful positions, being able to give us, the little people, the micro business owners, the small business owners, entrepreneurs, hope that we will get the support we need, not only at that level, the highest level, but also on a local, regional, smaller level. So I'm excited about where we're headed and the future growth of entrepreneurs having the support that we all need to thrive.
All right, Annette Shaw, being Baptist, we're talking about bringing it home. Wrapping it up, the services are almost over. Not sure how you do it in the Jewish community, but when it's time for things to be wrapped up and to go home, it's on you.
All right.
Wrap it up.
This gives me hope. This group gives me hope. There's a saying that I used to use that we have survived our worst day, but I'm changing it now that we have thrived during our worst day. And if you look back, we thrived this last year when we had to. And I think that we have to look at the past and say, we have come so far. We managed to figure this out. I know so many people that did die from this disease and so many people who suffered financially. But the community was there to do the best we could, and some things we just couldn't control. And so we should feel very proud that we live in an area that, as you heard in the last panel, that came together and decided to defy the rules and make sure that our community was protected and move forward. So we're surviving and we're thriving every day. And so thank you, Mike, for having us.
All right, we'd like to thank everyone for coming in. You guys, I really appreciate On the Mic with Mike, the best business radio program around. This has been the 2021 Biz Summit at the Fairfield. Right, to thank Ravi Patel for hosting us here today. He is as well our weather sponsor. So make sure you check out his facilities around Richmond. You can find them at Cena Hospitality here in Virginia, as well as across the country. Outstanding. So as well, Al Green. Shout out to my man Al Green for the production on the audio. You can catch him on Sundays on The Choice, and it's called New Spirit Radio. Thank you very much. That's it. Emmanuel Pizzoa from DV Arcade is here as well. On the Mic with Mike, the best business radio program around. Shout out to Tom Children and John Clark. I mean, you're my big man. Exactly. All right, listen, we gotta go. Shout out to my wife as this is over, baby. I'm on the way home. I've done my best. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks now. Everybody take care. You know what?